Hello and welcome to the Eileen Silverman Show. I'm your host Eileen, and on this week's program, our guests from the Women's Giving Circle of North Central Florida discuss their decade of impact and the positive difference their collective giving has made to our community and how you can be involved. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us for our program. The Women's Giving Circle of North Central Florida is celebrating a decade of impact, 10 years of collective giving. To tell us more, I'm pleased to introduce my guest, Esther Tibbs, past chair, Women's Giving Circle, and chair of Women's Giving Circle Decade of Impact Celebration Committee, and Laura Gilman, chair of Women's Giving Circle. And it's great to have you both here, Laura and Esther, and to congratulate you on being charter members of Women's Giving Circle of North Central Florida. So right there at the beginning, realizing that this was important to our community.
Thank you. Thank you.
And particularly to women and girls in our community.
Absolutely.
So Laura, here you are leading the charge as chair. Just help us understand a little bit about Women's Giving Circle. Who and what are you? What's your mission?
Our mission is to improve the lives of women and girls in our community. We came together with the idea that a single donor can only have so much impact, but if you have many donors and we combine those donations into one large grant and some smaller grants, we can have the power of collective giving. That's how it's done.
Exactly. And okay, that's how it started. Esther, kind of take us back 10 years ago plus. And how did the idea come about? Is it based on a national model, others in Florida? How did this all get started?
Well, it really was an idea for the board members, the female board members of the Community Foundation.
Okay.
And one of our members had been involved with the Ocala Women's Giving Circle and said to us, since the foundation's goal is to promote philanthropy in the community, we could form a circle for women to encourage women to give as a group in the community, and that's how it got started.
Okay, I mean, there were some people I can remember back, Susan Parrish, Marilyn Tubb, people that are so well respected in this community, and a great many of those women led the charge, you both
Absolutely.
included, you know,
Absolutely.
because professionally, Laura, what occupies most of your professional life?
I'm an accountant.
Okay, and Esther?
I'm a social services administrator, retired.
I know, but for years we've known you for all the good work you've done in this community. So these 10 years ago, you said, despite that I'm busy and, you know, already involved in lots of good things in this community, this is worth my time.
And one of the biggest draws for me was we spend, as women, as professionals, we spend so much time at work, and then you also spend many hours volunteering. The idea behind this was you write a check, the community foundation accepts grants, and then we decide how the money goes.
Okay.
So you don't have to raise money, you just contribute, and then we collectively can make a difference that way.
Right. And Esther, in this time frame, how much money has Women's Giving Circle brought to this community in donations?
We've provided over $650,000
Wow.
in grants to 24 different agencies in the community.
And there's so much need. And when
Yes.
you read the list of these 24 agencies, I think everyone, and certainly all of us, would go, oh, we know their need. What good people, what good things they're doing. But the idea being that collectively you can really make a huge change, a difference.
Right. I, as a
Yes.
single donor, can only do so much, but the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So
Right.
all together we make a very powerful impact.
You do indeed. And in this decade of impact, just to put a time frame, because we're, of course, more people are invited to join, we need to add to that voice.
We would love to.
Yes, yes. And what is there a time frame? And we're going to be talking more about this, but a time frame to get this donation in.
Our donation period is open now, and it continues through the end of January.
Okay.
So.
All right. Important to know.
It is.
We've got lots more to cover. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're back talking about Women's Giving Circle of North Central Florida, and Esther and Laura. I know that you really have enjoyed your association with Women's Giving Circle. And tell me more about, well, how many members do you have now?
Go ahead,
We have
Esther.
82 members in the
Okay.
circle.
All right. And what are some of the activities, that bring you together?
Mainly we have luncheons. We have a spring luncheon, we have a fall luncheon, and we have an event in December coming up with Keith Watson, which is a shopping/Christmas party, kind of
Right.
fun.
I've attended, yes.
Yes, it's very fun. We do that. And then in January, our what I call our fall luncheon, our winter luncheon, is we have a female member come in and talk about how she's used philanthropy in her business. And that's the middle of January.
Okay. And I know throughout your 10 years, different luncheons you've had, you've brought in speakers to address philanthropy and the importance of giving and being part of a community, and some really good, positive points of view that it's just a great interchange. So, that's one part of it. And as people choose to join, they become a part of this good sisterhood of our community,
Yeah, one of the neat things about the circle is that women can be as involved or as uninvolved as they choose.
positive.
They can come to all of our different luncheons and events, or they can just write a check and stay not involved with all the interworkings of the
Right.
process.
But when they write that check, the good thing is they know there's a group that's evaluating where their money goes.
Absolutely.
And address that, Esther. Explain a little more.
We have a grant committee that reviews all the applications, and depending on the circle's focus at the time, they determine which grants best meet that focus area.
Okay.
So right now, for the 2015 cycle, we're going to be looking at programs in hotspot areas in the community based on our report on the status of women and girls in Alachua County.
Right. An excellent report that you were, part of through the Community Foundation. Well, you were what made the report possible. I think
Absolutely.
that I've looked through it. It's really does show you a great deal about our community and those hot
And the
spots
needs.
Yeah.
and the needs. Right.
And Dr. Nancy Hart did a wonderful job on that report, and she was one of our speakers at one of our luncheons, so it was
Right.
very helpful.
Well, we're very privileged in this community to have people with
We
that
are.
kind of insight and to be able to take advantage of it. And then, so how does the grant process work? Then you seek out the opportunities, or you have to kind of wait to see how this all comes together? Yeah.
We basically, our collection of funds ends at the end of January, so that's when we determine the size of our grant pool based on the number of members. The more members, the larger the impact we can have.
Okay, so that says here on your 10th year, decade of impact, you want more membership equaling more impact.
We would love to have 100 or more. We were at 82 last year, so that's our goal, is a 25% increase.
Oh, that's okay. That's a good goal. It's reachable
It's a good
too.
goal.
And what about the impact grant, Esther?
Our impact grant is a $50,000 grant that we award each year. The grant committee will send out to nonprofits in the community an announcement saying this is the grant period. We will announce a grant workshop where those folks interested in applying can come in and hear about the funds that are available. We do an impact grant, and then we do smaller grants, again, focused on the areas of need that we've identified for the grant period.
Right. So this is well researched, well documented,
Absolutely.
well thought out.
Well thought out. Our grant committee does follow-up once the grants are awarded. Then we have a mid-year and annual reports coming in from the recipients of the grants so that we can make certain that what they committed to do in terms of impacting the community, that is actually being done.
All right, so anybody choosing to join Women's Giving Circle can rest assured that their donation, their support, their contribution is going to the right agencies and being used in the effective way that's
Yes.
necessary.
And they're welcome to serve on the grant committee
Yes.
as well
Okay.
if they want to be more involved. You
That's
can always
another
use
positive.
members.
Right,
Yes.
right. No, it is very positive. 10 years, you've already done quite a bit, but lots more you can do ahead. And we're going to take another quick break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We're talking about Women's Giving Circle of North Central Florida, and I'm pleased to introduce Chris Matchin, Honorary Chair of the Decade of Impact Celebration Committee. And it's great to have you join us, Chris.
Thank you. Glad to be here. It's a very long title.
I know, but
You did very well.
You wear it well. And it's a worthy title, and you've got Esther here chairing the committee and some very great, wonderful women in our community, just like you, both of you and Laura, involved in this. And so I congratulate you.
Thank you.
And this is pretty decade of impact. I like the whole idea behind it because you've made a lot of impact in this community. When did you get involved?
Well, it started in '07, and so I must have gotten in about '08 because it was fairly soon after. And I heard about it from somebody else, and it just sounded like something I wanted to be involved in. And it's been terrific. It's a great group of women. I was still fairly new here in town.
Right.
And so I met a lot of women in the community and at the university, and everybody was sort of like-minded and wanted to do something to make this a better community.
Right. It was a spirit that you could, a commonality.
It was really nice. You feel
Yeah.
very comfortable. It's a great group, and they're doing great things.
And people with a lot of knowledge about this community all pulled together with the support, monetary contribution behind it. And it has gone to this impact of, a decade has touched a lot of agencies in this community. And Esther, I know that you know that all too well, but highlight some of them for us, Chris.
Well, one of the things was a single mother got one of the fifth Habitat House. I think it's from the Women Build. And so that's like life-changing.
Right.
And like 35 girls from PACE got dental care.
Important.
When you think about the needs out there,
It's-
we're addressing things that a lot of other people don't address.
Right, because where could they go? I mean,
Right,
these
and
are-
where could they afford to go? There's so many people that can't afford that kind of care. Then like 52 girls were matched with big brothers, big sisters. So that's always with mentors, and so that's always terrific. And then 1,600 girls were able to join the Girl Scouts.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, I mean that's making a lot of difference. A lot of these young girls, through Girl Scouts, they learn all kinds of things.
Oh, so
they find a
important.
place where they feel comfortable.
Yes.
So the kinds of things that are addressed are terrific.
And these Girl Scout troops were new troops started in neighborhoods where they didn't already have troops. So a lot of girls who would never have experienced scouting
Right.
were able to experience scouting as a result of our grants to the Girl Scouts. So we are really pleased with that impact.
No, because for each of those individuals, it's life-changing for the girls and their families.
Absolutely.
So when you're writing that check for the $1,000, you can be thinking of the faces of all of these girls that you're making a difference, and women.
Absolutely. And if you're a woman 40 or younger, you can write a check for $500 and
Okay,
become a
good to
member
know.
as opposed to the $1,000. And you don't have to write the $1,000 check all at once. If you'd
Okay.
like to break it up and do payments, or if you want to try and do it through payroll deductions, if you have stock you'd like to transfer to us, we make it really easy for you to become a member of the circle.
That is important to know. And Chris, we talk about the community, everything changing in our community. We value that you and Bernie are staying on as part of it.
We're thrilled too.
I know, because this is your home and you're
Right.
a part of it. And so, but there's always new people coming. So they need to know about, a decade of impact that's happening. Or how are you reaching new people?
Well, everybody, like, I have one friend, I mentioned it to her, and she joined. I mean, word of mouth is really, this show
important.
right here hopefully will reach a lot of
I hope
other
so.
women in the community. It's so important. And also when you become a member, not only do you feel good and you do something good, but you're meeting all these people, and you're also learning about all the different agencies that need this kind of help in the community, which helps to be
Right.
a good community citizen.
Right. It just, yes, it's very valuable in many ways, and I can see that. And so it's a good 10 years, but we're going to talk more about what's up next. So stay with us. We'll be right back. We're talking about the Women's Giving Circle of North Central Florida. And Chris and Esther, with this decade of impact that you're within right now, kind of redefine for us the goal.
The goal of the Decade of Impact is really to celebrate the impact that the circle has had in the community for the past 10 years. We want to raise community awareness about the circle, but also about women's giving. Women's philanthropy is making a significant impact all across the country. And we want to make sure that women in Gainesville have an opportunity to be a part of that great movement.
Well, and I've read that it's usually the woman in a family who makes the decision about where the contribution, the philanthropy will go. So that makes it even more important to key into these women in our community that are doing so.
Absolutely, because they've really shown that. Development officers, they all say, it's the woman that's one.
Right.
She might not write the check, but she tells them where to write it
where it's directed to. You have women in philanthropy keyed into that.
Right, and we have 82 members, and we would love to get to 100 members.
Yes.
That could be a real goal for this next year, is to try to get to 100, because the more people we have come in, the more money we can put out in this community, and that's the whole goal.
And that's the whole goal, to give back. And you've got some great partnerships. Tell me, Esther, about Celebration Point.
We are just delighted that Celebration Point has decided to partner with us. We decided that as a part of the Decade of Impact celebration, we wanted something physically located in the community that would represent the power of women's giving, not just through the Women's Giving Circle, but women's giving in general in our community. And Celebration Point has agreed to work with us to create something out at their development to represent women's philanthropy in the community. We are so excited.
Oh, it's just wonderful, because it's a physical symbol.
Absolutely.
That can be appreciated. And speaking of appreciation, Chris, what about the donor tree and that opportunity?
Well, that's something else we want to do. We want to have any donor, any member that's given to the circle, have a leaf on the tree, something like that. But also, like any of the men could give a donation, and to honor their wife, their mother, their daughter, whatever they would like to do, and then that name would be on the tree also.
What an appropriate way to honor someone that you love like that. So that's another way. So that would be maybe sort of two ways of recognition within the community foundation, and then maybe elsewhere, Esther, in the community.
Yes, we also are looking at having a mobile donor tree, so that as we move it around the community, again, that's just increasing awareness about women's giving in our community.
As a way to get the conversation going.
Absolutely.
Right,
To
and
point
that's
out
really
needs.
the goal. We want to get this message out to anybody in the community, men as well as women, but of course the women are in the group.
Right.
So
Right, Women's Giving Circle kind of says it. What about, is there plans for an endowment or anything, or is that sort of maybe for the future?
We have an endowment. Each
Okay.
year we take part of the funding that's given during our grant cycle. I'm sorry,
put
given during the
towards-
membership period, and
Okay.
put that in an endowment fund so that we don't have to worry in the future about whether or not we're going to be able to give an impact grant, because we would have that money there.
Oh, so that's even a good sense of knowing where you're headed.
Yes.
Right.
You know, and within this, decade of impact, you've got a couple of events that can be, open to the community. What are those again, Chris? I know one's coming up in December.
one is in December. That's with Keith Watson.
Right, good guy.
And it's sort of a drop-in, get-together. There's fun things to buy for Christmas.
Right,
And that
which
kind of.
makes a donation to Women's Giving Circle.
Correct,
Yes,
right.
it's part of that. And good food to eat, but more than that, good conversation about the importance of Women's Giving Circle.
Yes.
Right.
Right. And then one coming up, I think, Esther, in January.
In January, we have our power luncheon where we'll have a speaker come
Like
in.
that power lunch.
A woman who is really committed to women's philanthropy, and talk about how their business has made a difference in giving back to the community. We always want to invite guests to come to any of our events so that they learn about what we do.
And that's what you're trying to, we want to enlarge the membership, hit that 100
Right.
member goal. And when you have this list, Chris and Esther, and certainly Laura Gilman as chair for this year, and you must just see the faces of these girls, of these women. You talk about PACE, the dental care, that they're people. These are real lives that you are touching, not just a statistic. And I think that's what it comes down to. Kind of writing that check, but seeing those faces, those people, and knowing the difference that you can make
Yes, and
collectively.
Yeah.
Yes, and we always try and have a woman whose life has been impacted by the grants come to some of our luncheons and share that testimony, so the group really understands how they're making a difference in the community.
Oh, well, I congratulate all of the members of Women's Giving Circle, and also on your decade of impact, and for leading the way in many ways within our community. Thank you, Chris and Esther and Lauren, and all of you who are involved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank
This
you.
has been wonderful.
Oh, I've always feel so honored to have my show talk about things that make a difference in this community, and this is especially so.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
And I'm so glad that you tuned in, and I hope you'll join us next week. Take care.